into the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth, the analysis days, end of season 2. Added time, bloody long name, I know. So I thought this time we're really going to dig in and do what we always do. Last time it was a bit more sort of low-key, but this one, I feel like we're going to be keeping most of the players from the squad this time, and there's going to be a lot less churn. I'm going to try to hold on to everyone I can, essentially, and the main hope is that I want to be starting next year with Ben Mills and Liam Mottram as our starting strike force. I really don't feel the need to upgrade, and I think it would be a little bit unfair on them, quite frankly. I mean, you know, Ben Mills, 30 goals in the league this season in 39 starts. I really don't think that I want to be trying to improve on him right now. Not when there's other areas of the squad that could be improved upon. And I know we've got a budget, but the thing is, if we used all that budget that the board have given me, we would be in huge financial trouble by the end of next season. I really don't want to be spending too much money. And Ben Mills on 350 a week is already going to be quite a big deal for us next year. But getting that contract done early is going to be helpful because it means that, well, he might leave in the summer if someone wants him, but I think it's unlikely. So, yeah, and one thing about tactics as well is I think that what I'm going to do with regard to tactics, I think we're solid for now. And I like where we're going with it. I think we're scoring a decent number of goals for sure, which is nice, actually. I like having a tactic where we score a lot of goals. Hasn't really been the case on a lot of my saves this year. We also look pretty solid defensively for the most part, which is good. However, once we get to like League 2 at some point, I would like to try to completely change the tactic and actually build a brand new one and try to play almost the exact opposite style of football. Because right now we're very direct, expansive in that sense, just getting balls in behind for people to run, the simple stuff. I want to try and build like a really fancy looking tactic. And by that, I don't mean like the actual way that the tactic looks in shape. I mean the way it plays. I want to play beautiful football and I want to try to figure out a way to do that because I like a little bit of a challenge. So that's something we're going to work on a little bit down the line once we've actually got players that can pull off that sort of stuff. You know, at this level, it's just not worth trying. We're going to get ourselves, we need to be professional really. Once that we're in a professional situation, that's good because then I can get full training sessions, can really take charge of that, and it's been working. I've been doing that sort of stuff with you now and it works. But I need to make sure that way I can have like certain training sessions I want as like an ethos throughout the entire club, so I can bring in certain players. They may not be the best for the overall, but they will be the ones I want for the exact positions to bring in what we want to do. Like, I want every player to have excellent passing. That way we can play really short tiki-taka stuff. Even in positions that you wouldn't expect to need it, that's what I really want to do. That way they've all got the competency to do that. So Ben Mills, excellent season. We're just going to get through it and do what we do normally. I mean, the guy's got 47 goals in 79 appearances for us. Like, Huddersfield, they're regretting it. They're probably not, but fact is, he's doing okay. There's a lot of gaping holes in his ability, but he does the good things right. End of the day, the guy puts the ball in the back of the net, and we can't ask for more than that. Then we've got Liam Mottram, his strike partner, 22 goals this season. But the point is, Liam Mottram's got 10 assists as well. That's really, really nice. I think he does take corners sometimes, so that could be part of the reason. But still, an excellent performance. 50 appearances, all comps this year, 22 goals. Still not, like, I mean, the fact is, Mottram and Mills, between them, managed to generate 52 goals this season, which is an insane amount for a strike force. You'd think Mottram would actually be slightly better in a way, but maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Point is, he's on less money anyway, and he's got a new contract too, which is very nice. You can see that he really just sort of started to stutter out, but for some reason, towards the end of the season, he just hit it. Like about 2 episodes before the end of the year. In fact, it was the one called Motty's Back. He just seemed to smash it all of a sudden. It's weird. It's a bit like Jacob Vestergaard on Uni now, really. So, Gordon Monroe, he is a youngster, so we've not really got much more to say about that. Lee Murphy, similar kind of story. Joel Nketiah, brought him in this year. He hasn't really featured at all, but he was more just sort of a backup and whatnot because he was available. You know how it goes. Stephen O'Brien, of course, is another youngster. I don't know if... I think he was here from the first season's youth intake. So we're still keeping an eye on these guys, but nothing spectacular. Shay O'Donovan is, of course, still here because he's on a non-contract basis anyway. So we'll want to see how long Shay can stay at the club. Obviously, he featured not at all this year, which is a shame for him. Alex O'Keefe, he only played a couple of times at the very start of the year. He'll obviously go back to Ossett United in the interim, and that's fine because, you know, we don't really need him, not when we've got Niall Ellis. Miles Orme is, of course, a youngster from the very first season of the Save. I don't know. I feel like a lot of these guys were just never going to be good enough, and we kind of knew that anyway. Matthew Overton, striker, we saw a lot of him last year. Didn't really see a lot of him this year because he was basically fourth choice, and with both of our strikers never really getting any injuries, which is amazing, by the way. And I don't think we're going to get that kind of luck for the rest of the Save. Like, at the start of the season, I suggested that the 7th tier might well be the easiest season of this Save, and I think I was right in that because of the pure difference in skill is so tiny. Coming to the 6th tier, things will be different. I feel like the bottom half of the league will be very much the same, but I feel like the top half will be much more difficult proposition, which is why I honestly believe that next year we're probably looking at about mid-table, because I feel like with the right signings we can comfortably beat a lot of the sort of trash towards the bottom, but I feel like there'll be a lot of teams dropping out of the National League that are going to be serious quality, like teams that we're just not going to be able to do well against. Like, look, we lost to Stockport and they were at that level, and they weren't even that good at that level, to be fair. So, like, yeah, that's kind of where we're looking at for that, and I'm fine with that, to be honest. It's a slow progression. I'm not expecting us to get promoted next year, and that's fine. We've done the first part of the save faster than I ever expected, and we're right with Blackhaven, which is actually very surprising. Now, I expect we will lose them at some point, because I think they will probably win again next year, but there's no chance we will. We can't if they do. That's for a start. So, moving along. Jacob Owen, big old centre-back, didn't play as many games this year, was a hero for us last year, but he's done a good job just being around the club, doing his thing. He's probably earning too much money for the amount of game time he's actually getting, which is a bit of a concern for me, to be honest. Richard Popple, signed him first season. He's probably... I might have to look at some of these guys' contracts in the summer and just remove any dead weight, because unfortunately, with the players that are on non-contracts, they don't just expire. We need to actually go and physically do them. What is this? He is... Oh, well, there you go. I think he'll be fine with that then. We've obviously got the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Putman-Kitely. All of the different names for him. We'll figure one out eventually. Like someone said, we might as well just call him like random things that rhyme with Putman-Kitely. That works just fine. So he's definitely improving in the right areas. His strength is improving dramatically, which is good, because I think I actually have got him working on strength. Maybe. I'm not sure, actually. I can't know. No, maybe not. I don't think I do. Point is, he's improving. That's the main factor. The guy got 9 goals in 41 games and 29 assists in all competitions, but it's actually 32 assists because this stat screen here doesn't count the playoffs. So actually, he got more goals than that because he got those 2 goals against Needham Market as well. So 11 goals and 32 assists this year. That is the most assists I've ever seen. I don't even know if Alessandro Salvi got more assists than that. The fact that he's 17 is unbelievable. I just think that this guy, I don't know, he's probably got a really low potential ceiling, in all honesty. It's just for this level he looks really good, but the longer we can keep him being awesome, the better. And he's just slowly progressing, doing his thing. Surprisingly, considering the amount of assists and how well he's played this year, his progression hasn't exactly been super stark. I guess it was from there, but it's not been like a straight upward. He's sort of been slowly working his way in. With the right training session, he's got a decent enough personality, good enough determination, which is good. I think there's a lot to be said about this lad for the future for us. And I think we could definitely be... I feel like he could definitely still be playing for us in the Football League one day, which is really, really nice to think about, isn't it, really? He's the first sort of legend of the save, potentially. Harry Shepherd, of course, done a decent job since he's come in. 4 assists so far. That was weird. Oh, right, okay, yeah, that's just because we didn't know about him back then, I guess. It must have been after he joined the club. So, yeah, we'll move on to Martin Smith, who, of course, was, just didn't really get much game time this year. Probably look to move him on, because some of these guys have probably got quite large bonuses in their contracts and stuff. Stilianu, our young Cypriot, who came through the Youth Academy. I think that was last year, though, was it not? Yes, it was. We're just not getting a lot of quality there yet, but we don't have the money to upgrade it so far, so that's always going to be a problem. Jacob Tabram, who didn't really get a lot of game time, to be honest, but he did actually do okay. He scored 2 goals and got 3 assists, despite not really playing a great deal. And he scored quite an important one at one point too. So I'm okay with that at the end of the day. I do think that left side might be an area to look at, despite the fact that Narles has done so well. Jack Taylor played a decent amount, 38 games this year. He's done well. Tackling quite low, but hey, the guy's still done a decent job for us. Still 80% tackle, 87% tackles won. Thomas Van Omeren, another one of the youngsters at the club before. Scott Wardley, the goalkeeper. He conceded 42 in 42. Defensively, nowhere near as good as Shay Donovan was the year before, but again, goalkeeper is a position I think I'm definitely leaning towards doing something. Harrison Webster on this left-hand side. I like a lot of his physical attributes, but I think he just lacks a lot in the actual ability to play as a wing-back, which is what we're actually using it for. He's just so poor in the technical side of things, and I don't know... It's so hard at this level to find a player who's got this with blues here too, and obviously that's difficult. Not everyone can be Putman-Kitely. Freaking hell, Matt. Ellis Williamson, backup player for most of the year, mostly made substitute appearances, didn't actually manage to score a goal for us this season, but he's a useful player to have around the club. He can do a job. Admittedly, he hasn't done that job, but he can do a job. He has the potential to do the job. Liam Wright, the Australian centre-back, who, again, I think came through last year's youth intake, just lacking a little bit in the physicals, but I've got him working on some stuff, although he doesn't seem to be agreeing with me. Not that that's a surprise. Jordan Wynn, I think he's done okay. He's not really flourished this season, if I'm honest. But he has scored 7 goals, but mostly from the penalty spot. A couple of assists in there. He's been fine. But I do feel like we probably need to go and find someone who's a bit more adept for the roles that we want to use in DM. Luis Zakwani Malango, who is, again, one of the youngsters. I think he was actually here at the very beginning. Harrison Adcock, who came through, I believe, this season or last year. I can't remember. I get confused. Mark Bamford was here at the very, very start of the save. Used him in some preseason friendlies for a bit, but just wasn't quite there. Then again, did okay coming off the bench in some friendlies, which is nice. Ben Blythe, of course, on the left-hand side. He's ironically slightly better than Harrison Webster in terms of his technicals, but physically he's not quite there. I do wonder if there's a place for him perhaps over Harrison Webster next season. I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to find someone else entirely. Sam Brown, who again, another young. I've got a lot of the youth prospects up into the first team, so that way I can keep an eye on their training, and then I can then set them available for the under-18 games. Now, I know it puts more pressure on your coaches, but I feel like it's a risk worth taking. Joel Burrows, another striker, decent finishing, but he lacks in a lot of other areas, although he's not too bad, to be honest, and he has actually weirdly been slowly improving over the course of the season. So, hey, maybe there's something to him for the future. I think probably not, though. Jack McCann, another youngster. He definitely came through our youth intake this season, I think. Raphael Shea, of course, who was sort of overwhelmed by Harry Shepherd after he came in, frankly. And I can kind of understand why. Raphael Shea's just not quite there. Maybe he's a player we can move on in the summer, get some money back for that one. Moses Chakwudi, of course, another player that came through the youth intake. Loads of these. Jamie Clark, who I believe is similar. Josh Dewsbury Hall, of course, was there at the very beginning. Jonathan Draper. A lot of these guys will probably look to move on as well. Ben Elderkin, in his second full season at the club, the hometown hero who finally managed to score himself a goal for us. He did okay this year. He did okay. I don't think that long term he's got the right level of quality that we need, but it's just nice to have one of the guys that was from the very first squad still there with us. Niall Ellis, he is way better than his star rating would suggest he is. It says he's surplus to requirements, right? This guy got 12 goals for us this year in the league and 7 assists. He's not bad at all. I do think we could do better, but what I'm basically going to be looking for with Niall Ellis is a player who has a lot of the things he has, but better. That's essentially what we're going to be looking for. I want the physicals at least where they are. And it's that dribbling ability I think that's really helped us. The fact is, Niall Ellis has a finishing stat of 1 with 3 composure and 3 anticipation, yet he scored 12 times this season. Like, what? Imagine that. Connor Emery on the right-hand side, of course. Decent options for the future. He's like a slower version of Putman Kitely. That's basically what he is. He's got really, well, apart from his dribbling is not amazing, decent technicals, quite frankly. Physical's just not so good, but he has got a bit of height, which definitely helps in some respects. Reece Pfeiffer's another of these sort of options. And again, reasonably good technicals, to be honest. But again, he just lacks a little bit in the physicals, particularly when he's not the tallest either. Another of the youngsters at the club. Sam Gibson's kind of just fallen off the radar this season, which is to be expected. Stuart Glennie, yet another of the strikers that were here. Connor Hakeem is another of those. Les Hobbs came through the youth academy, I think last season. Still something there, maybe. He's got some of the physicals, but lacks a bit on the technical side of things. Jack Holmes, of course, playing as our DM. But a lot of the DMs we had were all sort of converted attacking midfield, converted midfielders, basically. And that's kind of been a problem because they've not really ever quite got perfect for that role. However, he seems to be improving quite nicely. So I'm a fan of Jack Holmes, and I think there's no way he doesn't start for us next season as well. Ollie Humphrey, of course, another of the left-backs who we'll probably have to take a little look at. Get some of these guys off the deals, because they've all got contracts that have them on £40 appearance fees, and that adds up over the course of a season. Mark Chapman, of course, is on loan from York City. He did okay. Nothing special. I just don't think we needed him, considering how good Putman Kitely was this year. Adam Jones, he will probably leave in the summer because he's 32 and he's just fallen off a cliff in terms of quality because he hasn't played, and aging in the lower leagues is a difficult time. Matt Jones is the guy on the left-hand side, didn't really play for us this year. Sam Kirk, again, similar story. Ruben Lau, however, what a year. What a year this guy had. He is a phenom, and I very much look forward to having him next season. We've already got him on a new contract. All is well there. Honestly, I look at this. The positioning he's got is phenomenal for this level. Very aggressive. Bravery is the only thing that's a little bit on the low side. I've got him doing aerial training, I think, to try and improve the bravery, even though his heading and aggression are quite high. But I really do want that bravery up a little bit because that's the one area where he's really lacking. I mean, composure's not great either, but I really want that bravery up higher. Danny Lawson, of course, just didn't quite... he didn't get a chance this year, didn't really play a lot, fair enough. Charlie Leak, not really played at all. Andrei Lesko, of course, the Slovakian or Slovenian, I think Slovenian rather, left back there. He's optional. He's got some quality in certain places, but again, not spectacular. Miles Luto, of course, the backup to the backup goalkeeper. Meechin is his backup, and we're back to Ben Mills. Right, let's go look at the league stats. So as far as possession goes, we've done quite well, which is surprising, and we've had 12 penalties this year. And wait, we scored every single penalty in the league. Wow, that is a statistical anomaly. I would have thought from 12 penalties, we probably should have missed 3 of them, statistically. It's usually about 78% of penalties are scored. That's That's going to come back at some point and even itself out. So expect us to miss a lot of pens next season. Still, really, really impressive. There's 12 penalties in one season. No wonder Jordan Wynn and Ben Mills have got so many goals. If we'd let Jordan Wynn take, we could have had a defensive midfielder into double figures. It would have been like Patchy Bar at times. Headers won, we're usually right down towards the bottom there because which is surprising actually, because we've got some quite tall boys. And you'd think that with the type of football we play, I guess we're mostly knocking it in behind as opposed to onto people's heads. Headers won ratio. That could do with being higher. I think that we just need to get you can't be picky in the lower leagues. The problem is I'm looking at centre-backs and like they'll be like 5'10", 5'11". I'm just like, yeah, but they've got really good defensive attributes. And sometimes you just have to take that. It's against my normal ethos, but there you go. 116 yellows this season. Not great. And 4 reds. Yeah, standard pretty much. I mean, look at the form Hereford were in. That is insane. And Tottenham went 33 matches without a win. Holy God. That's insane. Did they only win one game also? Remember, we drew against AFC Tottenham on the first day of the year. And then, wow, they won one match all year. That's insane. Top goal scorers, us with 95. Hereford actually weren't the biggest of scorers, to be honest. So 14 corner goals. That's decent, but actually it's the same as Western-super-Mare. So it's not like we're out in a league of our own. Crosses completed ratio, that could be a bit higher. I would like that to be more towards the top, but there you go. Crosses completed, at least that's in the right realm. Goals from corners, us and Western-super-Mare dominating. Weirdly, they've been put above us. I don't know why, but there you go. Tottenham only got 2. So we did well from corners this year, but Western-super-Mare clearly got some goodness too. So Nia scored 6 direct free kicks. We got the 2, which I'm assuming were both from Putman Kitely. 14 goals from indirect free kicks. That's where we're really struggling. This is a key point for us, and I might need to try and work out some alternate strategy for that, because it's one area where we're clearly underperforming. Like, it would be different if we were sort of sat on 7 or 8, just sort of around the mid-table, not doing anything spectacular, but not doing anything too badly. But down on 4 that's poor. We need to take a little look at that, particularly as we're doing so well from corners. It might be that Ruben Lau, or whoever is in that position, is not set to be the one receiving the ball from a free kick, perhaps. That might be the issue. And as a result, we're not getting good headers on it. Because if you notice, a lot of our... Ruben Lau did score a free kick, did he not? In the playoffs, in fact. Or was it against Beaconsfield? I think it was against Beaconsfield, actually. So that's weird. I don't know. Maybe we're just not very good at taking them. It might just be that we don't have the right delivery. Pass completion ratio, pretty average, basically. Passes completed, right down towards the bottom, because obviously we do like a bit of a long boy. But look at the chances. 204 chances. How did we not win this league? We literally created more than double the number of chances of Hereford. We just don't have the ability to put it in the net. It feels like a symptom of FM this year, that we needed to create 204 chances to score those goals, and still came second. Because you've just got to create so many more chances than you think you're going to need. Shots on target ratio. Okay, this is where I think we really did excel this year. Shots on target ratio is 6% higher. Well, no, not even 6% higher. It's actually more than that. It's just a difference of 6%. Wow, that's huge. Shots on target ratio. So, actually, no, Staines had a lot of shots on target, in fairness to them. So there's a good sign. But our conversion rate is 3% more than anyone else. That's made the huge difference. Fouls against? Wow, okay. Dribbles per game? Comfortably more, because we focused on the physical attributes. And that is why I think we've excelled this year again. Focusing on the physicals over all the technicals, it means that we'll create a lot of chances just by getting into those positions, but we will miss a lot of chances, as you would have seen. Defensively this year, not too bad. I mean, Hereford definitely did the right thing. And amazingly, Hendon, despite having an insanely good defensive record, eventually ended up finishing 8th and really conceded a lot more goals in the second half of the year. Conceded from corners. We're not awful. Like, that's pretty good for me. Well, I mean, that's not even that bad. Tottenham seem to have sorted that out at least. This is where we generally struggle, yeah. 4 from direct free kicks. It's not as bad as it could have been, but it's not great. I expect us to be down here towards the bottom of this one as well. Yeah, indirect free kicks have certainly been the bane of my existence. Not quite to the levels of Hayes and Yedig, who've conceded 16 of them. That's mental. Western-super-Mare really do seem to have their set pieces sorted out. They don't concede many of them, and they score an absolute buttload. Hendon's still got the most clean sheets with 20, but those were mostly the first half of the year, I'm guessing. We made over 800 fouls. My God. Tackles 1. That would make sense that we'd be up there. Tackles 1 ratio. That would also make sense that we'd not be quite as high, though Hereford have done okay still. Penalties conceded, 4, not the end of the world. Metropolitan Police, very dirty bunch apparently, conceding a lot of penalties there. Average attendance, we have one of the highest. In fact, by quite some distance, except for Hereford. That might also explain why they've done so well, because they've been able to spend a lot more money. Like, I think one of the things that's kept us afloat in this division is our attendances. Getting those gate receipts through the door has allowed us to spend a little bit more money on players. So I dread to think what Hereford are spending on wages. I bet you they've got the highest wage budget in this league by a comfortable distance. We'll have a little look, though. Average attendance spike, I mean, still, it's not fantastic when you consider our stadium's like 3,000, but there you go. Stadium sellouts, obviously we've had none. Highest attendance, yeah, 1,100, and Hereford are getting 2,000 in a stadium. And yeah, I mean, you can see here, Hereford's transfer spend. They actually spent money for a start. Nearly on £300,000 a year they're spending on wages. Although Hayes and Yedding, should be ashamed of themselves because they're spending that amount of money and not even getting near the playoffs. We, however, down here on £89,000, oh my God, Hartley Whitney, £6,000 a week. Sorry, £6,000 a year they're spending on wages. So almost all their players must be on non-contract. The fact that they stayed up this year is an absolute miracle, particularly when you consider that AFC Tottenham was spending more than us, nearly double what we're spending, and they got relegated and won one match this year. So read into that what you will. So yeah, there you go. That's how we did this year. I think for a wage budget of our size, that's pretty good that we were even able to compete with someone like Hereford. And maybe next year we could spend a bit more money, but I just really don't want to risk the financial stability of the club, particularly as our finances are only okay. And more important than that is the fact that I want to make sure that we're in a prime position to turn professional at some point as early as possible. Because that way we get access to the extra training stuff, loads of extra things that we can then do in terms of keeping players and whatnot. And I want to make sure that we're as financially stable as possible so that that can happen. So I really want to make sure that the squad is really efficient in terms of the wage structure. So that's one thing that might hold us back at some points in this save. And I'm all right with that, to be honest, because it's a slow build. I wasn't anticipating back-to-back promotions in the first 2 seasons. I thought we'd get to this point in 3 seasons. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule. And that means we can sort of take a season to sort of reassess the squad, play with a lot of similar players. I tend to... This summer is, like I said before, it's going to be about strengthening rather than a complete squad overhaul. I like most of the positions we've got. I like our centre-back setup. I like our fullbacks. I think DMs could definitely do with some improvement. I think the left side could maybe do with some improvement. But other than a goalkeeper, really it's just DM, left side and goalkeeper that I'm actually going to be looking at players. I think the rest of the positions are pretty solid. Putman Kiteley is going to be our starter next year, and we've got other guys on that right-hand side that can fill in if we need to. So really, I think the money's going to go on DMs, left side and goalkeeper. And I'm totally all right with that. Even if I have to sign 2 in each position to get the best deal, we will do it. So let's look at player stats. And just interestingly, in case anyone was wondering, Blackhaven United actually only spending the 3rd highest wage budget in the league that they're in, to give you an idea. So that is actually very impressive. They're actually managing themselves quite well. This is the first time I've actually seen them do that. So that's quite pleasing. From a sort of a save standpoint, that they've actually managed to do that. They're actually spending less money than Hereford are as well. And South Shields are spending an insane amount of money. And that could cost them big. So, player detailed. Yellow cards. Ooh. He's a bit of an indisciplined boy, isn't he? That's just one of those things, I suppose. Red cards, we've got a few. Elderkin managed to pick up a few, or one, rather. Man of the match awards, though. Ben Mills, 10. Lovely. I think he probably deserved more. Putman Kiteley with 6 as well. Mottram with 6. Surprisingly, no one else made it on there, really. These guys just kind of dominated it. Between them, they managed to get 22 man of the match awards, so fair play. Panny Boxer. I really, really like Panny Boxer. But the problem is, he struggles in the technical areas again, and he's 25, and this is just not going to happen. And he plays in the same position as Putman Kiteley. It's just... He clearly gets about a bit, but yeah, I don't know. Average rating, I mean, look at that. Top 3 all hours. Niall Ellis is in there too. Ruben Lau. Even Jordan Wynn getting in there as well. Anyone else? Not quite, but still very, very good. Ben Mills with 30 goals. Mottram with 22. The top 2 scorers in the division. Then all the way down in 18th is Niall Ellis. Fair play to the lad, though. Minutes per goal, obviously. But hey, Ben Whitehead, not a bad... effort, to be honest, to get right in the middle of the 2 there. No one else is even close. Oh, Niall Ellis is on there too. There's obviously Jack Mazzone who takes the free kicks for the Metropolitan Police. Shots overall. I mean, Ben Mills has had less shots than these guys. Look at this. Staines take a lot of shots, don't they? They've got the 2 highest shooters in the league, and yet one of them's only got 11 goals this year. That's crazy. Shots on target, though. Ben Mills, 94 shots on target. That's pretty good. Basically, every 3 shots on target he has is turning into a goal, which is pretty pleasing. And it's actually... probably even better for Liam Mottram. If Mottram got more shots on target, he'd probably have scored even more goals. But there you go. Look at that. 75%. This is why Ben Mills has done so well this year. Because he's actually just hit everything on target. That is insanity. Some interesting regens in here, like Daniel Johansson at Tiverton, who I might just get a little scout report of outside scouting. But Tiverton is outside our scouting budget. What? Okay, so he's on low. We may have to just add him to the shortlist and come back to him lately. It seems that because we've got no scouting budget, we can't even send out a scout to go look at him for a bit, even though he's in this country. So there you go. That's a bit of a weird one. Conversion rate. Ben Mills, still not bad. That's pretty damn good. River Allen, great name. Great name. Appearances, not really that important. Penalties. Jordan Wynn, 6 out of 6. Ben Mills, 4 out of 4. So who the hell took the other 2? We had 12, did we not? Okay. Putman Kiteley, 25 assists this season is astonishing. The fact that Mottram got 10 as well is great. But look at that, Steven Zybot. Imagine getting 22 assists in a league season and not even getting close to winning the assist award and losing it to a guy who's 5 years younger than you. Yeah, he takes the biscuit there, really. And Putman Kiteley, this is the other thing. It's not only that, but he's putting key passes in. He is key passing his arse off. And Jack Holmes has clearly got a bit of that too, which is nice to see. That's a lot of key passes for key players. Very, very pleasing to have that. Chances created as well. 10 more. I mean, it's no surprise that Steven Zybot is up there as well, but brilliant as well from Ben Mills and Mottram. They really do link up brilliantly, those front four. Really, really pleasing. Pass completion, Scott Wardley. Okay, that's nice to see, I suppose. Cross completion, yeah, that was always going to be a bit of a low one. Dribbles per 90 minutes. Putman Kitely again, dominating. Niall Ellis not doing too badly on there as well. Always good to see. It's always nice to pay attention to some of the players that do well on this side. If anything, I might even look at some of these guys when I'm coming into sort of trying to find a player for the left-hand side. Is Pardo a left-sided player? He kind of is, but not really the kind we want. So there we go. Tackles per 90 minutes. Putman, look at this! He just does it all. He has the defensive side of the game and the attacking side of the game. And I guess it's because he plays on the sort of more withdrawn winger role, which actually makes his attacking threat even more surprising. He does it all. Considering he doesn't even have that great attacking. He's got 4 tackling, and yet he's just winning tackles for days. Mistakes leading to goals? No one. Excellent news. Mistakes overall? No one. That's a rarity in one of my saves. Good lord. Key tackles? No one. Okay, so not so great there. Tiverton have got quite a lot of players that are sort of regens, interestingly, here. And they're on quite a lot of these lists. Key headers, Ruben Lau. My God, Benji Agaduino. 138 key headers. What position do you play in, sir? Striker, centre. I mean, he's only 6'2". That is an awful lot. That's a really standout. And Tony Russell here at St Neots, again, another youngster. We'll have a little look at him at some point. And Nelson McCann at Farnborough. I like a regen. You know how I like a regen. Interceptions made. Must not be our style this year. Goalkeeping. Yeah, Wardley only got... He didn't do amazingly this year compared to the likes of Ludovicius over at Hendon. But he's actually pretty average, really. I think maybe we could have done better had we had a better goalkeeper, to be honest. Penalties saved. Wow. Lewis Williams at Tiverton. 3 out of 10. That's about right, to be honest. It's about right. Fair play to the lad. I don't think we saved any penalties this year, did we? I think every penalty in virtually every game just went straight in. Right. Let's have a little look at the actual squad attributes. Okay, so talking of sort of centre-backs, firstly. So interestingly, Ruben Lal is the only one who's actually got a decent rating, which is interesting. I guess he's played the most minutes. Actually, no, Jack Taylor has, interestingly. So Jacob Owen's kind of substituted for the other two. I don't think anyone else has really played at centre-back, so we're mainly looking at these two. Now, Ruben Lal is the youngest. He also has the most current ability, clearly. They all have balanced personalities, as is likely to be the case, but he does seem to stand head and shoulders above the rest, although we do concede more goals with him in the team. That is undeniable. And Jacob Owen, like PPG-wise, they're all relatively close. But it does make you wonder if Jacob Owen should perhaps be starting instead of Jack Taylor. And that doesn't really actually... Yeah, I don't know what... I think that's my own fault. He's a bit shorter, whereas Jack Taylor's got the height on him, but only by an inch. Whereas Jacob Owen's just got a little bit more physical ability. I don't know. Scored more goals as well. Like his actual goal record as well is very good in comparison to Jack Taylor. He creates more chances than Jack Taylor. Cross completion is slightly better. Dribbles a lot better than Jack Taylor. He wins about the same number of headers per 90 minutes, and his headers won ratio is about the same. Passing is a little bit better, although his pass completion ratio is about the same. Tackling is better. Tackles per 90 minutes is about the same. He does lack on the interception side of things a little bit, but he's made a lot less mistakes. It's hard to know. I wish you could see a mistakes per 90 minute attribute. Oh yeah, Ruben Lau got one of the penalties, didn't he, for his the third goal in his hat-trick. So what I'm seeing here is that Ruben Lau is kind of the standout for a lot of these areas. He scores more goals. We score more goals. He's decently creative. Dribbles. Okay, he's not the most proficient dribbler, but he's good at winning headers. He makes the odd key pass occasionally. Tackling is a little bit slack in some places. He seems to be more of a Rolls Royce of a centre back. So I think honestly next year I'd probably be tempted to go with Ruben Lau and Jacob Owen as a pairing, and that might actually not be the worst thing in the world, particularly as Jack Taylor is wanted by some other clubs. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. And we look really solid defensively with Jacob Owen in the team. That's one thing that really does stand out to me there, is that side of things. And we score a reasonable amount of goals. So all we're really giving up, we're not really giving anything up. To have him and Ruben Lal in the team is definitely the best attacking standpoint, but also it's not the best defensive. But I feel like out of the two, that's definitely the one I'd probably pick. Interesting. Okay, so that's the sort of thing you find out from doing these analysis little takes here. You can find out stuff like this. They've all got decent determination, which is a good sign. Personality-wise, it's not fantastic, but then at the start of the game, you end up with everyone being balanced anyway, don't you? Okay, so left-backs, we're really only looking at Webster versus Blythe. Now, this is kind of an interesting one for me, because for a start, you can see they both have terrible determination, so I think long-term, it's going to be a struggle to get them to achieve a great deal. And you can see that both of their average ratings this year have been pretty subpar. For a team that have done as well as they have, they seem to have been a weak point in that team. But you never know. So what I really want to see is Harrison Webster, because he seems to be like... He's got better physicals than Ben Blythe, but Ben Blythe has some better technical ability. So I want to see if that pays out in the way that this kind of looks. So from a defensive standpoint, Webster gets the win. More interceptions as well. Tackles one is about the same, although Blythe definitely likes to put himself about a bit in terms of the number of sheer tackles he makes. He's also a much better passer of the ball. Now, does that actually pay out? Passing of 5, vision of 6, whereas Webster is passing of 4, vision of 3. So that does sort of make sense that he would have better passing. So this is what I mean. When I was talking about building a new tactic, not yet, but in League 2, I would always want to have players in every position that can pass and see the pass, just because I want everybody to be a ball-playing player. I know you can't get a ball-playing fullback, but I want that. I want to create my own roles, basically. That's something I'm going to look to do. And the simple logic behind that is just that him making that extra 0.6 key passes per game over the course of a season, I feel like is going to lead to us having more attacking opportunities. And that's what I really want from it. And it's actually quite impressive what a small difference can make at this level where every single point counts so much on an attribute. So Harrison Webster, again, better in the air. I don't know what he's like in height. Yeah, I mean, he's 6 foot tall compared to 5'9", so it makes sense that he'd be slightly better in the air. Although, admittedly, he's not that much better in the air considering. I guess his jumping reach must be... He's got a jumping reach of 12 compared to Ben Blythe's 7. Ben Blythe is massively outperforming him in the air there. So cross completion is slightly worse for Ben Blythe, but his assist is slightly better. He does create a few more chances, and team goals per 90 minutes is actually very, very high with Blythe in the team. Fact is, they're both decent, but I feel like we can do better in that left back role, because it's a 3 and 4 on the crossing and dribbling, and it's a 5 and 4 on the crossing and dribbling. So Ben Blythe really does improve on the crossing, but weirdly has got less crosses completed overall. He does dribble a little bit more too, and I guess he's probably created more chances with his crosses, but it's interesting. I feel like if we can find a guy in the summer for left back that's got like a 14-14 on pace and acceleration, or, 14-13, something like that, comparable physicals to these guys, but he's looking at more like a sort of a 7-6 or an 8-7 on crossing and dribbling, that could be a huge improvement for us if we can find a player of that ilk. And I think that's one of the areas I'm definitely going to target. And maybe with slightly better passing too. If we can find someone with like a 6 or a 7 on passing and vision as well, maybe an 8 for vision just in case, so we can hit those long balls occasionally, that might be something I would be very interested in. Because as much as these guys have got decent potential and are still very young, they have sort of underperformed this year, and I think a more competent player, you'll see what I mean when we get to looking at Harry Shepherd this year. I think he's been the standout fullback in this team, the only one that's really grabbed it by the horns. But we might be able to compare them both together. So we'll go to the right backs now. So here's the right-hand side, and instantly you can see Harry Shepherd, 7.13. Now, remember some of the things that we were talking about with the others. For a start, defensively, he's not even that good in the defensive areas. And the fact is, he's not even that good in his crossing and dribbling. His passing of 6 and vision of 5 isn't fantastic either, and he's actually slower than a lot of the other guys we were talking about on the other side. So why has he done so well? And that is a good question, and I really just don't know. Defensively, he's been phenomenal compared to Raphael Shea, in fairness to him. Tackles 1, very, very solid, although Raphael Shea's not far behind at all, by any stretch. He's relatively the same on the key passes, worse in the air. He does win a few more headers, weirdly. Better on the dribble, 20% cross completion. That'll do it. That is very, very high, considering he's only got 6 crossing. He's just been phenomenal this year. I don't even know why he's done so well this year, to be honest. Raphael Shea at 17, though, is not too bad. This is the difference, though. On the left, we're looking at a 13 and an 11. Now, of course, it does depend on who they're aiming the crosses for, but we've got 2 strikers. And, yeah, so chance create. I mean, Harry Shepherd's got 5 assists in less minutes than Raphael Shea's got 2. Like, it's a very clean sweep in terms of... And team goals per 2.64 and a 2.4 PPG for Harry Shepherd. It's almost unexplainable why he's so good. Determination isn't even that high, although it is improving, which is a good sign. Again, more balanced personalities. Raphael Shea is wanted by Loughborough on loan, of all things. I mean, Harry Shepherd will be our starting right back next year. I'm happy to keep Raphael Shea around. I know he's slightly older. Maybe we'll find someone else. I don't know. I would like someone that's maybe got a PPG a bit closer to, like, 210 from this season, effectively. But Harry Shepherd is great. I want a Harry Shepherd on the left, basically. Like, he's not that much better than the other guys on the right. Sorry, on the left-hand side, like 6 and 4 on crossing and dribbling is not spectacular, really. And his physicals leave a lot to be desired in certain areas as well. And yet here he is, just doing bits. And he wants to commit his future to the club too. So, oh God, his contract is up this summer. I need to sort that. Immediately. We will get on that. Do not worry. Right, let's do DMs. This is why I like using the filters properly to actually isolate all the players. I know it sometimes can be, I get a bit lazy sometimes, but I really wanted to do this properly this time around so we can have a real good look and only look at the players we actually care about. So, for example, Danny Lawson did play some minutes, but it's not enough for me to seriously consider that in this calculation, so to speak. So Holmes and Wynn were sort of the big starters, although Ben Elderkin still started 16 times this year, so that's a decent amount. Defensively, Jordan Wynn was the best, although Jack Holmes wasn't too far behind, with Elderkin sort of trailing a little bit. Elderkin's definitely good on the interception. No mistakes that cost us goals, which is good. Elderkin, again, worse than the tackle percentage-wise, but he still made a decent number of them. Passing-wise, Wynn comes out in front. They're all relatively across the board there. Jordan Wynn is definitely less of a sort of creative player. Passing of 8 and vision of 9, surprisingly, whereas Jack Holmes is on, passing of 7 and vision of 7. However, it might be that one of them being the DM and one of them being the ball-winning midfielder, that tends to sort of jade which one takes the passes on. But 1.45 per game is not bad, to be honest. And that's definitely contributed to the fact that he's got some assists this season. Headers 1, he's not so great in the air, and he doesn't dribble anywhere near as well as Ben Elderkin, who really does have a very, very... That's 5. Wow. 8 dribbling for Jordan Wynn. 1 dribbling for Jack Holmes. That would explain it. He's very much a player that passes the ball rather than runs with it. I'm surprised he can even run with the ball at his feet without falling over at this point. Also worth noting, Ben Elderkin's team goals per game is 2.73. That's the highest, surely, by a comfortable margin. That's a very, very large amount. He's not a very good goal scorer, but then, you know, Jordan Wynn mostly gets penalties. The fact that Jack Holmes has actually got 3 goals this season is pretty impressive for the lad. So we'll take that. PPG-wise, Jordan Wynn's the best. They're all... Ben Elderkin can clearly still do a job. They're all across a reasonable level with average rating. But I just want someone that can step in and be 3-4 stars as that role. Like, Jack Holmes is good. But again, I want them to be really comfortable in those positions. And obviously, over time, they'll get it. But I just think that maybe this is a position that I really want to invest money in. A defensive midfielder, a really strong defensive midfielder. One that can pass, one that can basically do the job of 2 of them, but as one guy. Because we seem to have one guy that can pass and one guy that can dribble and defend. And we kind of want one guy that can do a bit of both to take some of the pressure off a little bit. And to spray some balls in behind. Because, you know, what often happens with some of these balls in behind is that either they're sprayed over the top from a DM, usually Jordan Wynn in this case, it would seem. Wait, am I looking at the right? Yeah, usually Jordan Wynn. Or the ball is whipped out to the wings, and that's when those balls come into the box. So, yeah, definitely a DM and a goalkeeper as well. We haven't really done goalkeepers because we've only had one goalkeeper play, but I do want another goalkeeper. We're probably going to change goalkeeper every single season until I find someone I really like. You know how I do. So that's definitely the plan so far. Right, let's do right midfielders. This is going to be very, very... I want to see just how much Putman-Kiteley has dwarfed everyone else. Right, so we're back. Ben Putman-Kiteley, the youngest of the 3 right-sided midfielders we've had this season. Now, he's obviously played the most minutes, so we're going to have to mostly focus on the per 90-minute attributes. That's kind of the key one here, unless there's something that really stands out to me. So, I mean, 7.58 this year is utterly mental for the guy. That's just insane for a 17-year-old to get attributes, to get stats that good. So, team conceded. He actually does have the middle, that one. He's not bad. Like, it's relatively solid. Interceptions, he makes the most. Tackles, not the most in terms of his ratio, but he does win more tackles than anyone else, and Emery really does struggle in the tackles. Pass completion hasn't even been that good, but look at that. 2.31 key passes per game. Probably our most creative player from a sort of... literally, he's almost playing like an advanced playmaker that's on the right wing in a withdrawn position. Like a role that I don't think you can even make. You could have a wide playmaker, but yeah, the game doesn't really rate him like that, and I understand why, but he's basically essentially playing like that at the moment, which is phenomenal. Not great in the air, which we kind of understand, but dribbles per game of 4.46. It's dwarfing the others. Cross completion of 21%. Him and Harry Shepherd have been absolutely destroying that right-hand side so far. Like, Shepherd only played sort of like half the season, and he's already got 5 assists from right back. Because, let's face it, most of the time he's just giving the ball to Putman-Kiteley, and he's banging it. 0.81 assists per game. Sorry, per 90 minutes. That is, I think that might be the highest I've ever seen that over a player that's actually played a decent amount of matches. 32 assists in all competitions this year. Godlike. Chances per 90 minutes, thunderously higher than anyone else. More goals scored per 90 minutes for him personally, as well as the full team. His shots on target ratio is insane. He has more shots on target. He got 11 goals this year as well. I mean, he is a godlike player. Now, remember, next season, obviously, there's no Mark Jackman, but we will have Reece Pfeiffer around, Connor Emery. I might look for another youngster to play there. I'm hoping that we can hang on to Ben. Now, he does have a contract extension, a clause, which we can trigger that. So actually that means he'll now have a 2-year deal on £160 a week, which is very, very important because we want to make sure we keep this guy for as long as physically possible, which is one of the reasons I want to go pro as soon as we can, because we need my man. We need him to do well. So let's check the left-hand side. So this one seems relatively straightforward. Ellis and Tabram, neither of them are really great on the ability side of things. And I think that being slightly older and also not being that close to their potential, it does make you think that perhaps this is an area where we need a little bit more strength. And as much as Niall Ellis has done superbly well this year, it cannot be ignored. The fact that this guy has got the number of goals he's got for us, 15 in total this year, with 1 finishing, is insane. I remember having a guy from Bournemouth with either Stockport or Notts County, I think it might have been Stockport, who was constantly scoring goals despite his 1 finishing. He was on loan from Bournemouth or used to play for Bournemouth or something like that. It was a winger. But yeah, Ellis versus Tabram, I think it's pretty cut and dry, although, yeah, better defensively. More tackles won percentage-wise, but worse in terms of the number of them per game. Ellis is a better passer, although way less key passes. So Tabram certainly does seem to be able to ping a ball, despite only having 5 passing and 7 vision, whereas Ellis is on 6 passing and 4 vision. That's quite a disparity, actually. Tabram's better in the air as well. Dribbling is around about the same. Cross completion is vastly better for Tabram as well. I guess he has better crossing than Ellis too. No, 7 versus 6, so slightly better, but he does lack in the dribbling side of things. It seems to me that over the course of a season, Tabram would definitely yield us more assists. In fact, more than double the number. So I feel like if he was on that left-hand side, he'd be sitting at around about 16 assists this season. The problem comes from the fact that he wouldn't be anywhere near as many goals. He'd probably be sat at around about 9 or 10 over a full season. So I guess the question becomes with those two is like, what is worth more to you? They've got very similar PPG. We score more goals with Niall Ellis in the team, which makes perfect sense because he's a better goal scorer. So he's the one contributing the goals. But like if I was doing this, if I wasn't already looking at bringing in another left midfielder and you said to me, right, you have to play both of these guys next year, this is your only choices, I would kind of just weigh up the difference between his, like, for example, if it's an assist per 90 minutes of 0.20 and a goal per 90 minutes of 0.37, I would literally put them together and see how many goal contributions per 90 minutes they are achieving. So with Niall Ellis, that's what, 0.57, whereas you'd look at Tabram and it's 0.66, which means that in theory, Tabram is contributing to more goals per 90 minutes than Niall Ellis. Now, it's not as obviously cut and dry as that, but it does make you wonder if that's perhaps something that you could do. But again, you don't know, because the intrinsic values of the players they're given to other parts of the squad, you know, they might, because one of them's a better dribbler, he might drag players away, which leaves more space for other people. You don't know, and that's one of the things you can't see until you're actually looking at it in the match engine, really. That's why there's so many different things. It's like spinning plates, as I always say. There's a lot of things on the line, basically. So let's go to the final part. Let's look at some strikers. So here they are, the final 3. Mottram, Mills and Williamson. Mottram's obviously 22, Williamson and Mills both 20. So Williamson hasn't started many games, so we got to take that with a pinch of salt, really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's quite clearly that Mottram and Mills are the key guys for this team. I think that kind of goes without saying. Like, defensively, it's basically the same. Williamson can't do the interception part of things either. He's not even that particularly good in the tackle. Mills is good in the tackle, but I guess that could be because he plays as a pressing forward, so he's more likely to be getting involved in that. Both he and Mottram are better passers of the ball. Neither of them are any good in the air. That's one thing that I would perhaps be interested in doing. Like, it's a 5'9" and a 5'7". Williamson, I think, is not super tall either. We do lack a little bit of aerial presence from our strikers, which doesn't help with the flick-ons, but it does allow us to play the ball on the ground a little bit more and get them running onto it. So it's still an okay sacrifice. I'd rather sacrifice height for a bit of, like, pure pace, because that's the style of football we play. It would be nice if we had a 6'1" guy with a bit of pace. That way he could win those flick-ons. And the same way that Mottram and Mills sometimes do, just not as often as they would do if they were further. But you could see Mills with his 2.77 dribbles per game, with his 11 dribbling, that's where he really excels over Mottram. When he gets that ball at his feet, he's going past people. But Mottram is vastly more creative. Now, I don't know if that's because he has better passing or not. Passing of 5, vision of 5, compared to Ben Mills' passing of 6, vision of 5. So it might just be that because Mottram plays as an advanced... No, he's playing as a poacher. 12 assists for a poacher is actually very, very high. But chances created per game, they're basically all the same. It's just that Mottram's getting a higher quality of chance, it would seem. Or certainly people are able to put them in the back of the net. Goals per 90 minutes, you could see they dominate in this one. They themselves getting a decent number of goals as well. I mean, in total, they got 59 goals between them this season. That is insanity. But fair play to them. They all be our starting strike force next year. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind, unless they both leave, or either of them leave, then they will be our starting strike force. I don't really want to sign another striker right now. I want to keep some actual, like, one of the memes about the channel over the last few years with rebuilding saves and stuff in England is that we tend to have a new striker every year despite them being top scorer. Next year, I do not want that to happen. I want to start with Mottram and Mills as our starting strike force next year because I think they could comfortably do a job in the 6th tier as well. I think that's one of the strongest parts of our team. Nearly 60 goals in all competitions between the two of them. And with Putman Kitely smashing in 30 odd assists, I don't know if he'll be able to do it again next year. It seems unlikely, but you never know. There's just an endless supply, frankly. I mean, imagine if Tabram had played as well. We'd be looking at like nearly 50 assists from the two right-sided players as well, because that's where most of the assists are coming from. It makes you think that if we could get a DM that could pass the ball a bit better, we might even be able to get some even more goals with those balls over the top, because they just tend to misplace them a little bit. So there you go. That's sort of the analysis for the season. Basically, what I'm looking at here is DM needed, left back probably, left sided probably, and a goalkeeper probably. So those are the 4 positions I'm going to target. We've got a decent budget to work with, so I think we'll be able to find what we want. I've already got a short list of players that I haven't really looked at, but I know that my scouts rate them in the 90s. Now, that could mean anything at this level, but I'll give them a once-over. I think we'll probably only end up signing maybe 4 or 5 players. Get rid of some deadwood, maybe bring in some youngsters for the future as well if I can find the right ones. But I think we're only going to probably see 2 or 3 really big signings, and that's fine. I'm up for that. So, word of the day. What will the word of the day will be? I've got my drink flask here, and what does it have on the side? It's got mango written on the side. I might have already used this one. I don't know. So there's your word of the day. If you got this far into the video, drop that in the comments somewhere. Maybe use it in a sentence. I don't know. Try and keep it under the radar so people don't know what you're talking about. And if you have enjoyed this video, drop a like. That'd be spectacular. If you're new to the channel and this is the first video of mine you've watched, I don't know why, but there you go. Subscribe. I stream on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so go follow over there as well. And I will see you guys very, very soon for the first part of Season 3. It's going to be fun. No costume yet. Bit annoying, but there you go. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun, Capybara. Bye-bye.